face, you guys are who the people think that, quite frankly, you don't sleep, you're the chief, the cook, and the bottle washer, okay? How do you explain it either to your team members, or how do you teach your team members and actually consult your clients that you've put this together so they're going to get the optimum service and you're not going to be there every second? How did you guys manage that?
When I first show up on a listing appointment, sometimes it's after another agent has already been there, and they'll say to the seller, well, you know, Tim Singer's team is so big, you never know who's going to answer the phone when you call, and you know, you don't work with somebody like that. You don't work with me, who's by myself, and I can do everything. So I sit down with the seller and I pull out actually you have all of our business cards in one of those slide-in sheets, a binder sheet, and I show who each person is, explain their responsibility, and I say, now, Mr. Seller, I'm sitting with you right now, the phone's being answered. You know, there are newspaper ads, there are internet ads, people are out there answering the telephone and showing other listings. Wouldn't you want that for yourself if I was with another customer, that your house is still on the market? And they get it. They pretty much get it at that point. So.
It's basically the same thing. I have a packet that's always prepared, and I always say, you know what, I have a marketing person that has a graphic design degree, and they're in the office, you know, 5 days a week, and we need a brochure. I don't have to send it back out and come back in. I mean, we can change it right instantly. The same with just a call. A realtor on a Sunday afternoon, it's 3 o'clock, and they got a transferee, and I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been out with a buyer, and so frustrated that I can't get in a house because they have to be the one that answers the call, makes the appointment. You know, bottom line is that, would you be the one that, and I had 2 doctors, I mean, this is in the last year, where both of them, it was one Saturday and one Sunday afternoon, and I don't take people out that often, so these were the 2 weekends I actually worked because these were really important clients, you know, or referrals, and so just saying to a client when I sit there at a listing table and say, well, you know, who's answering the phone, who's responding, you know, and my client ended up buying a house before the end of the day, and he switched. I mean, they started out at $500,000. By Sunday afternoon, they were spending $950,000. You know what? It was whatever house I could get in at that time. So, you know, the long and short of it is, you know, there are people that can do what you do just as well as you do, and sometimes better than you do.
I just make sure I manage their expectations, let them know up front what's going to happen. Ever since I made a polished, you know, pre-listing package or a buyer's guide that says, here's the process as soon as we go on the market. Dennis is my director of home marketing. He's immediately going to contact you. He gets the professional photos set up. He assigns all the marketing. Everything starts happening. He's going to let you know once a week what's going on. And then, you know, when the offer comes along, I'm going to be there to present it for you because I have time to do that. So I just make sure they know exactly up front what the expectation is. Since I did that, there's never been an issue.
Now, everybody's in the same boat, okay? So you're able to hear what other people go through and how they're starting to set up, so you can actually have a life. And basically, I'm hearing you guys, you give your buyers, you give your clients a stellar consultation so they really know your system for success. Perfect. How important do you guys believe it is for your assistants to be licensed realtors, and do you believe there would be a disadvantage if they weren't licensed realtors in your group, your assistants?
Yeah, I'm actually getting everybody licensed as we speak because the market's changing too fast. You never know. Most of my people on staff are for the REO support. So you never know when the REOs are going to go away. Every year we had 5 months with no assignments. So the market's changing so drastically every 3 or 4 months that you got to have the flexibility to be licensed so that when we're slow in one pillar of business, they can pick up the slack on another.
Half of mine is licensed, half is not. It depends on what their role is. The marketing person is not a licensed realtor. My closing, my listing, you know, I have licensed in there. So depending on what their communication is going to be with the sellers, that's basically the requirement if I'm going to require a licensed person.
Mine are all licensed. It helps a lot when they're dealing with other agents to know that these people went through the same classes, that they take the board classes, that they stay on top of what's happening. And also, it makes it much easier to pay them, for me, for my setup.
Oh,
Okay?
Yeah, I've really been focusing on reducing my overhead. So I want to make sure I have as many licensed people as possible, so that way I can compensate them as deals close versus just having them be there on salary. Because the market just swings too wildly, and then you're suddenly stuck like I was in 2007, paying huge expenses and the revenue wasn't there. So, you don't want to fire someone because then you may need them again in 3 months. So you got to have the flexibility. That's actually why I like virtual assistants, because I can send them an email one day says, hey, I don't need you for 3 months. I'll call you back when I'm ready. They say, okay, great, because they have other clients they're working for too. So the scalability of the business and the flexibility is much better when you have virtual assistants.
Okay. It's always a question that comes. The CRM program, the Client Relation Management System, and as an example, I'll say Top Producer or MyRed Tools or any of these kind of systems. In your team equation, how does that work for you? How do you use that? I'm even curious to see how the virtual assistants would interact in something like that.
Yeah, we use RealPro also. Did you use RealPro, Tim? No. We use RealPro systems. Anybody use RealPro systems in here? One hand. I like it because it has a lead management in there. So whenever we assign a lead to someone, it immediately shows up in red in their queue. So at 10 a.m. every day, Jessica, my lead manager, goes in and she sees everybody's leads. If they're still in red from the previous day, that means the buyer agent hasn't updated it yet. So then we'll give them an hour or else the lead's reassigned. So it allows us to track every lead, every buyer agent, how they're doing, if they're calling the people back. Actually, I put that in about a year and a half ago. And all 4 buyer agents quit when I put that in within 48 hours. I realized they weren't calling leads. So this has been great for accountability. I let them know right up front, how the leads are assigned, that they have until 10 a.m. the next day to update the system when the lead gets reassigned.
What's it called?
RealPro Systems. Pro. RealPro Systems, yeah.
Marta, that's the same one you use, right?
Well, actually, I use RealPro there's like 3 levels of RealPro. I don't use the Platinum, which has that back end, which I hear is really good. Because I've had Agent Office for, I don't know, many years. I started with Top Producer, and then they didn't have where I could have the assistants and all. Anyway, long story short, I'm now still with Agent Office, but now on my REO end of it, I'm using Taza for that. So to me, that has been that's something that we've been just implementing in the last 6 months, because I just started the REO end of it not that long ago. But now we have so many clients that we needed to have a better system. So that works. And then just keeping on top of the, I always check out Agent Office just to see if I'm getting the follow-up in there. So that has really been helpful.
I'm still one of the old timers, uses Top Producer. I wish I'd started with it though, because once you have your business up and running, to start setting up any kind of a program, it's an endeavor. And my team members each have their own login, they each know how to use it, and I can track everything. But we also use a program called Lead Router that sends any new leads directly to my phone and my email and my text. And my assistant gets the identical phone, email, and text. So we can also track that way too.